Okay, so we're back again with another kind of medium format video, and we asked you guys what you wanted to hear about yesterday, and we got some really good feedback. So specifically, the question was centered around how do you follow up with your client after that first initial appointment, right? And my answer to that is twofold, right? You can only really follow up if the showing went well, right? So what I want to talk about first is that initial showing, right? And how that actually goes. It's very easy with Zillow and Realtor.com and all these different portals that are popping up to become the infamous door opener. The client has an expectation. You go see a house, they show up, they see the house. Wow, this is really easy. If I don't get any value out of this, I can just leave. And that's what we see a lot of agents falling into the trap of, is being a door opener. You show up, client sees property, they buy, thank you, right? Which sucks. That's not fun, right? Deadly at that point. So you have to figure out how to intrinsically build a lot of value on that first initial showing. If you don't have a showing process you're following, this is your opportunity to stop and develop something. Again, like we talked about, the only real way to scale a really high performance business is to have a standard operating procedure for almost every aspect of it, right? So you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And even on your bad days, you've still got structure to it. And you know what you're talking about. So I want to talk a little bit about that first showing, right? That initial interaction you have with the client. You run your ALM script. You've set the appointment with the consumer. Congratulations, you're off to the races. Now we're meeting that client at that property. Obviously, for those of you that are super experienced agents or new agents alike on the channel, some of this might be a little redundant, but I'm still going to run through it. Showing up to the appointment 10 to 15 minutes early is absolutely paramount, right? Getting there before your client so you can open the house up, make sure it doesn't smell bad inside. Occasionally that happens. Houses get stuffy, right? Get a lay of the land of the property, especially if it's your first time seeing it, which it likely will be with these types of inquiries, right? And making sure that the house is show ready, turning on all the lights, airing it out a little bit, you know, getting the thing going, getting the vibes right. So client shows up to the property. This is where an acronym that I follow personally and I coach all of our agents on comes into play, which is G.P.S, right? Corny, I know, but G.P.S stands for game plan, package, and then summarize the facts of the property. This is all happening before you even enter the property, right? So again, not having a real clear-cut idea of what's going to happen is what leads to door opener syndrome, which we all hate. So right before the client walks into the house, we're actually going to give them an idea of what's going to happen before they even get into the house, right? We're controlling the situation. So in this example, right before the client's entering the property, I've even got my script out because I'm that guy. So, all right, George, thank you so much for taking the time today to come and check out this property. I wanted to quickly give you a game plan for our tour today. I'll start by giving you a high-level overview of the stats of the property. Then you'll have ample time to check out the property at your pace. I'll stay within earshot should you have any questions that come up during your tour. And after you're done checking out the property, we'll sync up in the kitchen and talk through your thoughts, observations, and come up with a game plan moving forward. How does that all work? So we're immediately, right, game planning what this experience is going to be like for the consumer. We're setting a foundation of what's going to happen next, right? Client's going to go, awesome, sounds great. Again, people subconsciously like to be led, right? You're the professional. Take control of the situation. Next, we're going to go into our package presentation. So I'm going to do a whole nother video on this, but always giving that initial appointment something tangible to leave with, right? The analogy I'll use for you is I just went and bought a new car about 6 months ago, right? And when I was leaving, they gave me this like little tote bag that had Audi Fletcher Jones on it. It was super nice with a bunch of goodies inside and all sorts of stuff, right? I just spent a stupid amount of money on the car. But the point is, subconsciously, it feels something of value when you leave a service provider's care with something tangible, right? And I know that sounds like, oh, Chris, we want to save the trees. I 100% agree, right? But the consumer leaving that experience with something super valuable like that, even if it's just some basic stats on the house, some other stuff that I'll run through in another video, yeah, that's coming soon, just to make them leave with something tangible, right? So we're going to give this to them right then, right there before they actually enter the property. So perfect. I went ahead, George, and put together and prepared some information for you about the house and compiled it in a nice little package so it's easily digestible. Included in this package is a flyer with all the info about this house specifically, a breakdown of the recently sold comps in the area so you can get an insider look at what the market is doing, and lastly, a neighborhood profile, which gives you a detailed look at school districts, where your Trader Joe's will be at in this neighborhood, Whole Foods, all that good stuff, along with renter versus owner-occupied stats and all that stuff in the area. Does that sound good, George? Consumer's going to be all over that. Thank you for going above and beyond for me is what they're thinking. They might not tell you that, but they're still going to be thinking that. And lastly, we're going to hit that summarize the stats of the property before they enter the house, so we know what we sound like we're talking about, and the consumer knows what we're talking about. They feel good about the situation. So to continue, this house was built in 1958. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's 2,300 square feet on a 7,000 square foot lot. Feel free to take a look around, George. Again, I'm going to stay within earshot if you guys have any questions, and we'll sync up in the kitchen afterwards. Let's go, right? So we're taking control of that situation from the very first interaction we have with that consumer, right when they walk up to the door. That's our first time meeting them in most cases, right? So we're not giving them the ability to see house and bounce. They know what the expectation is. We're going to see house. I have information about house in my hands. Agent's going to stay within earshot, and when we're done, we're going to sync up in the kitchen and walk through a decision-making process. They don't know that yet. That's to come in another video. I hope that was helpful. If you want a copy of this thing, again, there's going to be a link in my bio with more information about how that first initial showing goes, what it's going to sound like, and all that good stuff. Again, any ideas, anything you guys are struggling with, that's how we make this better. Shoot me a DM with them. Always happy to help, and we'll go from there. See you guys next time.